Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for February 9th through 15th. This week I read one book, I watched 2 shows, I watched 2 movies, and I listened to 1 book. First this week I read Rough Trade, which is the follow-up to The Best Bad Things, which I read last month and really enjoyed. Sadly, I believe this is only a duology because I would read more from these characters. This book primarily follows a character named Alma in 1888 Tacoma, although she mostly goes by the name of Jack Camp. Previously in her work history, she worked for something called the Women's Bureau, so basically she used to be in the FBI, she used to know how to do spy things, which is why she's actually putting those talents to task now in just pretending to be a man so she can get business done. What business, you might say? It seems like she's just the leader of a group of stevedores, but really they're also smuggling tar. I'm using the euphemism for it because I don't think YouTube will like the actual word. This is a product in the 1880s that would come over from China and come into Victoria to be refined, and then their crew would smuggle a lot of it without paying taxes down to Tacoma to distribute on the west coast of America. However, Alma has much more to do other than just keep up this facade, which she's been doing for years now. It also turns out that a couple of people turned up dead the other day, and she's trying to figure out who did that so that it won't lead back to putting heat on the docks, which is where she does her business. She also feels really bad that one of the people in her crew actually got hurt a while ago, so he's been having to use morphine to fix that, and the person who is murdering people seems to be going after drug users. And an old friend from the Women's Bureau comes to town and is looking for a job, and she wants to reconnect for more than one reason. If you didn't hear me talk about the first book in this duology, our main character is bisexual, and she spends a lot of time just being like, people are pretty, I like people, people are nice. But obviously only certain people know what's actually under her clothing, so that is definitely something she has to take into consideration. This, like the last book, was a lot of fun, a lot of action, a lot of logistics, a lot of trying to get around different things, and I very much enjoyed it. As for the shows I watched this week, we finished the 3rd season of What We Do in the Shadows, and it ends on somewhat of a cliffhanger, so I'm excited to see what happens after this, because there are a couple of things where you're just like, oh, that character's gone now. No, they're not, and I'm disgusted by what's gonna happen, I'm assuming. And then also these other characters are going to a different location, but we'll see how that goes. I'm still very amused by this show, and I like how much Matt Berry just encompasses this whole character who does not give a shit. Although my favorite character is probably Guillermo because he's just adorable, and I want the best for him, even though his best seems to be wanting to become a vampire. Also, Nandar has gone through it this season. He's been in and out of love a few different times. He joined a cult at one point. Like, he's been through a lot. The other show I watched this week is about the first 10 episodes of the very first season of Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm not talking about the American one, I'm talking about the British one. So Where It All Began. This is a show I used to watch a lot when I was in my early teens. In fact, I was watching it on the morning of September 11th, 2001, and I thought the ticker tape across the bottom of the screen was just from something that had previously happened, and it was just there from when the episode was aired originally, so I didn't really pay too much attention to what was happening. So yeah, my bad. I definitely learned about it when I got to school that day. This is fun because it's trying to get itself on its feet and it's trying to roll into being natural for the audience and for everybody to kind of get the format of what's going on, but also some of the jokes don't land today because, you know, they're not great. And then also you could smoke on stage back then, which is just super weird. Also, in one of the first few episodes you get to see Stephen Fry in his underpants for no reason, so take that as you will. The first movie I watched this week is a short film called Identities. This one is directed by Jessie Earl, who you might have heard of before because she has a channel here on YouTube called Jessie Gender. This one is about 2 characters who find themselves in this room and they don't remember who they are, but they seem to both remember that their name is Aaron. One spelled A-A-R-O-N and one spelled E-R-I-N. Eventually they come to realize they're kind of onboarding into some corporate setting and they're meant to watch this video where they kind of have to pick which version of themselves they're going to be. And they do something to break this system, which makes upper management not too happy. I didn't know anything about the cast going into this, so I was really shocked to find that somebody from RuPaul's Drag Race is in this, although not in drag. Actually, did he appear in drag? I don't think he did. I watched this near the beginning of the week, so I can't remember. There might have been a shot of him in drag, maybe? I don't think there was, though. In any case, with the hundreds of queens that have been in that franchise, it was very strange for me to be like, wait, is that Jackie Cox? And it was. I'm bad with names, and it happened. I enjoyed this, although I knew when Jessie was making a film, I thought it was a feature-length film, so I was like, oh, it's only 35 minutes long. That's okay, I just thought I was getting a longer film. It's a pretty cool premise though. The other film I watched is Aquaman. We finally got around to watching this, and we spent a lot of time making fun of certain aspects of it. What I will say is I enjoyed the cast. I knew nothing about the cast going into it besides Jason Momoa is Aquaman, but then to see that his mom was played by Nicole Kidman, I really enjoyed that. And then of course we have Willem Dafoe, who is both in Marvel movies and DC movies, which is great. And then I spent a lot of time wanting to know why I knew the guy that played the younger brother to Aquaman, and I think it must be from Phantom of the Opera from 20 years ago, I guess. I kind of looked through his IMDb and nothing really sprang out besides that. Also, I really enjoy that there's probably like 7 kids who can claim that they were Aquaman because you see Aquaman as he's growing up. And just for like the 3-year-old version of Arthur, there were like 3 different kids credited as playing Aquaman at that age. So that's just fun. There were certain things about the world that we were like, but why would you do it that way? Or why is the lava like this? Or those type of things. Also, Julie Andrews looked absolutely majestic in this film, and if you've seen it and you can't remember which character she played, you should go back and find out because it's funny. As for the book I listened to this week, that was Here We Go Again. This is about 2 teachers who are going on a death road trip with their former English teacher because he is dying of stage 4 cancer and he wants to get from the West Coast to the East Coast so he can die in this cabin that he has in Maine. However, of course there are shenanigans and stops along the road trip along the way. These 2 teachers actually used to be best friends when they were younger, and then something happened. They had a falling out, and then one of them hasn't really ever left town, whereas the other one went to a prestigious university, made teaching her absolute existence, and then eventually came home when she found out Joe, her former teacher, was first diagnosed. They've been working together but like sniping at each other for years, and now they're forced to be in this road trip together to do this one thing, which is basically Joe's dying wish. This has a lot of forced proximity. We learn a lot about how these characters are more similar to each other than they think. We also learn how the incident where they no longer get along was seen through each other's eyes. And of course, this is obviously very sad because this is a death road trip, and as weird as it is to say, that kind of creeps up on you. So even though you know they're doing these different things to make him feel as comfortable as possible on this road trip across the country, such as getting a whole different van that has a bed in the back that they have to load him in and out of into his wheelchair, that type of thing. They're also traveling with his not quite service dog. But especially if you're more like one of the characters, you're going, it's gonna be fine. We're never gonna have to deal with the consequences of what is actually happening to Joe's body, and you absolutely do. And it's devastating. I knew that this book was probably going to make me cry, and I was very silly because I was very near the end and I was going to the shop and I was like, oh, I can listen to the rest of my audiobook right now. And I'm like, why am I doing this in public? I don't want to cry in public. This was terrible timing. I highly recommend this book, but only if you're feeling capable of reading it because, wow, it hits you right in the feels. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!